In this video, we'll be hunting 2 boxes of pennies, as well as seeing how much progress we can make to the Penny Hunt and Fill album. Of course, we'll be looking for wheat scents from 1958 and older. We'll also be looking for any proofs, foreigns, errors, varieties, or any other cool things we can find, as well as seeing how much copper we can get to fill up the copper jar. And I'm really excited to get into these 2 boxes because we have 3 wheat scent enders throughout the boxes. Each box has a wheat scent reverse ender right here in box 1, and in box number 2 it is right here. And we have a really great ender in box 1 right here, a 1928 San Francisco. And that is going to add to the album, and it's going to be the lowest mintage coin in the album so far. Before it was at 1931 with 19 million, now this one is 17 million. And it's an ender, so hopefully there's more coins like it in the boxes. So let's start the hunt, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. Roll 6, and this box has gotten off to a good start. We've gotten 3 Estimates already, and a Canadian, which I'm not bringing you in for since we're doing a 2-box hunt. And we also got 1960 small date, which I have not gotten one of those in a little bit. But I bring you in because we have the first wheat scent besides the enders, and it is right here. And it's going to be a 1950 Denver. Just opened roll 8, and I see the edge of wheat scent number 2, and it is right here. And this time we're going to have a 1945 Philly. Same roll, and I just uncovered another wheat scent for the 3rd wheat scent of the box. This one is just a last year 1958 Denver. Roll 14, and I just uncovered wheat scent number 4, and it is just one from the 50s, 1952, minted in Denver. Roll 20, near the end of the roll, uncovered wheat scent number 5 is just another 50s, and 1957 from Denver. Roll 25, halfway point of the box, just uncovered another wheat scent, and this will be the 6th one of the box, and it is a 1953 San Francisco. Already have it, but I've seen a lot of S's in this box, including that 28, which is coming up soon, so that's a great sign. Roll 27 was that 1928 S ender. Just opened the roll, don't see anything else, but here it is. Doesn't have too much Ring of Death on it, which is definitely good. Definitely a 1928 S, and that will be going in the album. Only 17 million minted, lowest mintage coin in the album so far. That's an awesome find, and it was an ender. Hopefully there's more finds like it in the box. Roll 28, the roll after that 1928 S ender, and we might have another old one, not this shield penny, but the one behind it looks old, hoping it is. It's not an old wheat, but it is a wheat, in 1946 Denver. Roll 31, and I don't know how I missed it by the edge, but we have a super worn wheat penny here. Hopefully it's older than the 28S. Hopefully it also has a mint mark, and hopefully it's one we need. Let's see what we have. And I think, yeah, it's just a 1918, and we already have a 1918 for the Hunt and Fill series, but still, we found a teens wheat scent, and any teens wheat scent is a great find. Roll 33 was that other wheat scent ender for box 1. Don't see anything else in the roll, but here's the ender. It does have quite a bit of damage on it, and it is a 1947 Denver. We're already on roll 49. The box did get pretty cold near the end, but I bring you in because we do have another wheat scent, although it's just another 1957 Denver. That was all for box number 1, and it was a great box. We ended up with 11 wheat pennies total, mostly 40s and 50s, and 2 older ones. Of course, that 1928 S ender that we're going to be adding to the album, and also a 1918 that we already have. 2 oldies in the box is awesome. Box also had a lot of 1959s and Estimates as well, and we got 4 Canadians as well. A little less than I usually get, but they're just Canadians, that's alright. Another odd thing, that box had 4 1960D small dates. I haven't gotten one in quite a few boxes, and this box had 4, so that's definitely pretty interesting. I'll definitely take those. So now let's move on to box number 2. It has a wheat penny ender in roll 28, so hopefully it's a good box, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. Roll 5 of box 2 is going to give us our first find because I flattened out the roll, and look what popped out in the back. dumping on the Canadian cents in 2-box hunts, but when it is from 1940, it definitely will. It's in pretty decent shape as well, and it's going to be King George VI. Bring you in on young heads and anything older in 2-box hunts, and King George VI don't happen too often. King George V only found one of them, but I found probably about 20 or so King George VI. And this one's from 1940. That's an awesome find. We're on roll number 9. Still no wheat pennies, but I'm okay with that because I just opened this roll. And I just mentioned it earlier, I've only found one ever King George V, and this is going to be my second one ever. Other one I got was a last year 1936. Hopefully, this one's going to be older. And it is just another 1936, but still has some stuff on it, but still, it's my second ever King George V Canadian penny found. That is an amazing find. Roll 11 is finally going to get us the first wheat penny of box 2. We have gotten off to a good start, though, with those couple of old Canadian pennies. And the wheat cent is right here. And it looks a little worn, probably from the 40s or earlier. And it is a 1944 Denver. Roll 15 is going to give us another wheat cent for box number 2 near the back of the roll right here. And it's going to be a 1953 Denver. Roll 18, and we have another wheat cent for box 2. Just uncover the date, 1945, minted in Philly. Roll 28 was that wheat penny ender, and this is only going to be the 4th wheat cent of this box so far. But again, we got those older Canadians, so this box hasn't been too bad. And the ender's in pretty nice shape, probably from the 50s, and it is a 1957 Denver. Just opened roll 31, and we're going to have another wheat cent. What's weird is that I haven't gotten any other Canadians in this box other than those 2 King Georges, which is definitely odd. Anyways, this wheat cent's going to be a 1956 out of Philly. Roll 34, and I just uncovered another wheat cent. This one is going to be 1940, minted in Philly. Same roll, and we're going to have a couple more wheat pennies. So we're going to have, I think, 3 wheat pennies in the same roll because I just uncovered one right here, 1951 Denver. And what popped out in the back, we have another one. And it's a 1942. Looks like it has a mint mark. I'll see. I don't know. I think that's an S. I think it's a 1942 San Francisco. Either way, 3 wheat pennies in the same roll. That's awesome. Just opened roll 40, and we have another King George Canadian cent. It's the 2nd King George VI and 3rd King George overall since we got that King George V. And this one's going to be 1944. That is another awesome find. Both penny boxes have been hunted, so let's go over the finds. We ended up with 14 1959s, 24 S mints, and 22 2009s. Foreigns all were Canadian, and we ended up with 11, and that last box gave us 3 old ones, which were 2 King George VI, a 1940 and a 1944, and my second ever King George V, another 1936, but I'll definitely take it. That is an awesome find. Also, all of these were in box number 1. We got 4 1960D small dates, which is really odd that they all came out of one box. Varying conditions, most of them aren't too nice, pretty damaged. I don't think they'll upgrade the album, but I'll definitely add them to the collection. I do set those aside as I don't get them too often. And then wheat cents, we ended up with 19 for the 2 boxes, which is almost as much as I like to get. Mostly 40s and 50s as normal, but we got 2 pretty 40s. We got a 1918 out of Philly, which we already have. Don't think it'll upgrade, but still an awesome find from the teens. And, of course, the ender from the first box, a 1928S, which is definitely going to be an addition for the album. And then, lastly, for copper, we pretty much completely filled the copper jar, which is awesome for 2 boxes, definitely a great amount. So, now that we went through all the finds, let's see how many additions and upgrades we can make to the Penny Hunt Fill album, and I'll bring you back with an album update. Just finished updating the album, and here is a look at it now. Not too much change, but we did, of course, end up with 1 addition, which was that 1928S, only 17 million minted, the new lowest mintage coin in the album, which is awesome. And then we had a few upgrades, I think 2 or 3 in the memorial sense. I think the most notable one was this 1974S, The one before it was pretty brown. This one's definitely red, so that's an awesome example to add. And overall, especially with that 1928's, this was a successful Penny Hunting Album Fill series episode.